Just starting off, good day, really good start offensively. Really pleased with the group. Really just want to kind of see if the guys are hungry, which I expected them to be. It would have been a surprise if they weren't, but really proud. All the positions, guys working hard. Offensive line, obviously 4 seniors, a lot of leadership in that group, and even though we got a lot of guys returning, it just feels like a young, eager, hungry group. And as a coach, that's exactly what you're looking for, exactly what you want. And it's a great start. That's all it is a start. We'll know more tomorrow, put the pads on, and kind of finish up our first week of spring ball.
Coach, first impressions of Ngata and Ladson?
Yeah, really pleased with both of them. I knew a little bit more about Frank because I had him in camp, and I got to see him, and he was everything. And I think the biggest thing about Frank that I'm pleased with is he came in at 182, and I believe today weighed 197. So he's gained 15 pounds in 2 months, and and I can see that in him. He's stronger out here, but yeah, he's special. He reminds me a lot. His speed and acceleration, quickness reminds me of another number 2 we had from Florida. So it's a pretty strong statement there. And then Joseph Ngata, man, big, strong, explosive. He's made a bunch of plays, and just very hard worker, very serious about his business, loves it. Those 2 guys are roommates and 2 of the best young guys we've had come in. And then Brandon Spector, very pleased with him, playing in the slot, runs extremely well, and learning what he's doing, but he made some plays today. So it's a lot of fun. Very rare that you have all 3 of your scholarship signees here in January, and they've been getting a lot of reps and doing a good job with the install so far.
Just the most quality depth you've had since you've been here.
Yeah, I feel like I say that every year, and when you say it every year, sometimes you think, well, is it really true? But yes, I mean, it really is. This is the first year that we've had 10 scholarship guys, and really, all first three groups, are all doing excellent, and it's a lot of fun out here. I mean, every group that goes out there is having an opportunity to make plays, and so it's going to be fun. And for me as a coach, it's fun watching the older guys and the starters out there coaching these young guys and pulling for them and getting excited for them. That's what's fun for me as a coach.
How are Justin and Amari doing, kind of moving
Yeah, it's been fun. I think it's a good challenge for them, kind of moving around. Both, Justin and Amari, love the game, very smart guys. I think it's fun for them to go out and play a new position. And, really for us, we want to cross-train guys. Justin, as a freshman, moved around, played multiple spots last year. Amari is a guy, just one of the smartest players that I've ever coached. And so for him to be able to move in and play slot, I think really helps us. And then, both T and Justin will move around at both outside spots. But, yeah, it's a pretty strong lineup out there with that group.
Hey, Coach, you get tight end, you got a lot of choices to make there with what's going on with the Galloway. What has Jalen Lay shown you in the first couple of days?
Yeah, obviously physically, he looks like Dwayne Allen as a sophomore, junior, so that's pretty impressive. He's getting thrown right in the fire, which is good for him. It's a little tough for him right now, trying to, 3-back's one of the more difficult positions to play because there's just a ton of alignments, a ton of different motions. So he's kind of figuring it all out, but very athletic, strong. Probably the thing I'm most pleased with is out of all the freshmen, he's probably been in the meeting room the most. Our position meeting rooms are here, the staff rooms. When we're walking in and out of offensive staff meetings, you kind of peek in there to see who's in there. And I would say Jalen's been in there more than anybody, so that's a really good sign for a young kid.
Jeff, what's it like to have this ridiculous amount of offensive talent?
It just feels like it gets better and better every year. You can go back, we're watching cut-ups, with that group, Sammy and Nuke and Andre Ellington, Dwayne Allen, Tosh Boyd, pretty special group. And the next group that kind of came behind them with Deshaun and Mike and Wayne, Artavis, Jordan Leggett. When that group left, you're like, is it going to be a little while before we have another group like this? And it's just like they just get better and better. Part of that is because of what those groups did before them. You know, that's why these guys, you know, a guy like Joseph Ngata coming from Folsom, California, it's because he watched Mike Williams. Those guys make plays when he was younger, and so that's a lot of fun. But at the same time, there's a strong message that, you know, talent's great, but talent doesn't win. You know, team wins. You got to develop the talent, and so it's the character to go with the talent. And I feel like we have that, and that's probably what I'm most excited about. Is you know, I think we got some talented guys that are eager, hungry, and want to work.
What group and what spots Cornell working with?
Yeah, Cornell has been working in the slot with Amari and with DK, and he's a strong guy. He'll also work outside, and he's a guy that's been around. Obviously, last year we had a chance to redshirt him, so he's kind of getting back in the flow with everybody, and he'll be a guy that has been around long enough he can cross-train.
It looks like a lot of these receivers would rather catch tennis balls than footballs. Is that true?
Yeah, well, it's just, you know, different things, different drills, you know, all kind of things that they can do. But yeah, and that's just one of the many drills. And they do that in the summer as well.
Have you done it for years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, since Coach Sweeney coached wideouts, they've been catching tennis balls.
How much more freedom do you have as a coach when you have this much experience on offense? When you have the older guys to kind of train?
I mean, I think it's really maybe freedom in what you can do offensively. You know, even though we're starting over, we're starting on, you know, a little bit higher level with a guy like Trevor, even as talented as he is. I mean, there's a difference in him year 2 than year 1, and the conversations that you're able to have with him, and then those guys up front having all that experience. You know, you're having the talks that normally you may have later in fall camp. You're having them in spring ball, so that's a really good sign. But you know, just being able to maybe do a little bit more and strain them mentally a little bit post snap is probably the biggest differences. But you know, you don't let up as a coach or change your mindset and just relax. I mean, you got to continue to push, and that's what this group wants, and that's what they deserve.
Jeff, you mentioned how physically developed Joseph is. Can you compare him where he is mentally compared to where Justin was last August?
Yeah, and I think it's still a little early. I think Justin came off really good as a freshman. You know, I think Justin kind of week 8 or 9, you know, I think he kind of had that freshman look in his face for about a week, and usually that's when, you know, they go down. And Justin kind of caught his second wind and really took off. But both Joe and Frank, that's one thing you don't know until they get here. I mean, you can tell talking to them that they're intellectual guys and can communicate, but you really don't know until you get in the meeting room with them. But really, both of those guys, along with Brandon, have been able to pick up things. But, you know, I would say that Joe probably has a lot of similarities early to Justin Ross, and T probably, I mean, Frank has a lot of similarities to T right off the bat, so that's a pretty good combination right there.
Coach, how much have you enjoyed having Chancey back as a grad assistant?
Oh, it's been awesome. It was funny, I had him talking to the wideouts a little bit and talking a little bit about his experience in the NFL. And I said, tell him how old you are. He said 35. And my jaw dropped. I thought he was about 28. I couldn't believe, but you know, it's a great message and a great reminder for us as coaches that, man, these guys, they move on and they go on with their life. And these guys we're coaching right now, we got them for a very small window. And but I think that's one of the best things that Coach Sweeney's done is bring the former players back. And I mean, it's one thing to hear it from a coach. It's another thing to hear it from a guy like Chancey that has lived life, has experienced the NFL and all that stuff, and now he's back and eager. And it's been fun to see him kind of as a mature guy, as a coach. It's been really fun for me to see and, you know, kind of think about some of the guys I got now that maybe one day they'll be able to come back and do the same thing.
There's some challenges that go along with having an offense that everyone's talking about is one of the best ever.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good challenge to have. I think the biggest thing is you just remind our guys and Coach Sweeney. It'd probably be a bigger challenge if we didn't have a head coach like Coach Sweeney, but he reminds them all the time that we got to start over, that, you know, last year's touchdowns aren't going to carry over, and that's just a very core fundamental of our program. So it's easy offensively just to kind of build on that and to remind our guys. You know, you can go back to examples. I'm not going to call out old teams from the past, but, you know, we've gone back in the past and kind of pulled out really good offenses they had everybody coming back, and they don't quite have that same year the next year. And, you know,